The Quantum's engines hummed with a gentle, reassuring thrum as it cut through the void of space, its sleek, metallic form a testament to human ingenuity and the unyielding drive to explore the unknown. Captain Caden Frost stood at the helm, his gaze fixed on the sea of stars that stretched out before them. The mission was routine, or so it was classified, but Frost knew better than to take the vast, uncharted stretches of space for granted. First Officer Sienna Ray approached him, her footsteps silent against the soft hum of the ship. "All systems green, Captain. We're on course and on schedule," she reported, her voice a blend of professionalism and underlying excitement. Frost nodded, acknowledging the report with a brief smile. "Keep an eye on those systems, Ray. Space has a way of throwing surprises at us when we least expect them." As they ventured further from the familiar constellations, a palpable sense of unease began to settle over the crew. Navigator Jade Harlow, stationed at her console, plotted their course with meticulous care, her brow furrowed in concentration. "Entering the sector now, Captain. It's eerily quiet out here." The observation was met with a nod from Frost. The silence of unexplored space. "Let's not let our guard down." Below decks, Chief Engineer Tycho Bran and his team kept the Quantum's heart beating. The ship was more than just metal and circuits. It was their lifeline, a beacon of humanity in the unfathomable darkness. Bran, with grease on his hands and determination in his eyes, checked and rechecked every system. "This old girl will see us through," he muttered to himself, a mantra of faith in their vessel. Science Officer Leo Swift was consumed by the data streaming in from the external sensors, the absence of cosmic radiation, the void where stars should have been. It was all consuming his thoughts. "Fascinating," he whispered almost to himself. "We're on the cusp of a discovery." His voice carried a mix of awe and foreboding, a scientist on the edge of a breakthrough that could redefine their understanding of the cosmos. Communications Officer Milo Kane worked in solitude, scanning frequencies for any hint of a signal. The silence was deafening, a stark reminder of their isolation. "Nothing but static," he reported, his voice barely hiding his frustration. "It's as if we've stepped outside the universe itself." Tactical Officer Eden Wraith remained vigilant, her eyes scanning the dark expanse. The absence of immediate threats did little to ease her tension. "Space might be silent, Captain, but it feels like we're being watched," she commented, her hand resting on the console, ready for any threat that might emerge from the void. The banter among the crew, though sparse, served as a reminder of their bond, a small beacon of humanity in the vastness of space. Frost, ever the stoic captain, allowed the light exchanges, understanding their importance in keeping morale high. "Stay sharp, everyone, we're in uncharted territory now," he reminded them, his voice carrying the weight of command and the unspoken responsibility he felt for each member of his crew. As the Quantum delved deeper into the silent expanse, the sense of isolation grew. The crew, seasoned explorers of the cosmos, found themselves peering into a void that seemed to swallow not just light, but sound and hope as well. Navigator Jade Harlow's steady hands maneuvered the ship through fields of debris, remnants of worlds that once were. "Charting a path through memories of planets," she remarked, her voice a mix of wonder and somberness, reflecting the gravity of their surroundings. Captain Caden Frost stood beside her, his eyes scanning the darkness. "Keep us steady, Harlow. Whatever happened here, we don't want to end up as part of this graveyard." The eerie silence was a stark contrast to the bustling activity aboard the ship. Science Officer Leo Swift was consumed with the task of analyzing the fragments of planets they encountered, searching for clues in the cosmic silence. His findings were unsettling. "There's a pattern to the destruction," he observed, speaking more to himself than anyone else, as if something methodically consumed these worlds. Sienna Ray, overseeing the crew's efforts, noticed the tension building. "Let's focus on the mission," she advised, her tone firm yet supportive. "Speculation won't get us home." Milo Kane, surrounded by screens and equipment, worked tirelessly to pierce the veil of silence. His attempts to send signals into the void were met with the same oppressive silence that surrounded them. "It's like shouting into the abyss," he said, frustration creeping into his voice. No echo, no response, just nothing. Below decks, Chief Engineer Tycho Brahe and his team worked to keep the Quantum running smoothly. The silence of space put additional strain on the ship's systems, a constant battle against the encroaching void. "This ship's made of stern stuff," Brahe reassured his team, his confidence in their vessel unwavering despite the unknowns. Eden Wraith remained ever vigilant, her eyes scanning the external monitors for any sign of threat. The emptiness brought its own form of tension, a waiting game played against an unseen opponent. "Silence in space is one thing, but this feels like the calm before the storm," she mused, her instincts on high alert. The crew's resolve was tested as they ventured further into the anomaly. The stars, their guideposts and companions on so many journeys, were absent here, replaced by an oppressive darkness that seemed to press in from all sides. Frost, sensing the unease among his crew, addressed them with a steadiness that had seen them through countless trials. "We've faced the unknown before," he reminded them, his voice a beacon in the darkness. "We'll face it again, together. Stay focused on our purpose and keep each other safe." The Quantum continued its journey through the void, the eerie silence of the destroyed worlds pressing heavily upon the crew. It was in this oppressive silence that Communications Officer Milo Kane, his eyes weary from staring at screens that showed nothing but static, detected an anomaly, a faint, irregular signal, pulsing like a beacon in the vast emptiness. "Captain, I'm picking up something. It's weak, but it's definitely there," he announced, his voice cutting through the quiet tension on the bridge. Frost approached Kane's station, peering at the readouts with a mixture of skepticism and hope. "Pinpoint the source, Milo. Let's see what's out there," he ordered, his demeanor calm but authoritative. The signal led them to a fragment of a planet, a shard of rock floating aimlessly in the void. The Quantum's landing party, led by Frost and accompanied by Sienna Ray, Leo Swift, and Eden Wraith, prepared to investigate the source of the signal. The desolation of the planet shard was palpable, a stark reminder of the destructive force that had passed through. Swift, scanning the surroundings with his handheld device, was the first to find evidence of the ancient civilization that had once thrived here. These structures, they're ancient, possibly millennia old. "And look here," he gestured to the crew, his excitement palpable even in the face of such desolation. "These markings, they could be a warning." As they delved deeper into the ruins, the true scale of the tragedy unfolded before them. Wraith, her weapon at the ready, remained alert for any dangers. "This place gives me the creeps. It's like the whole planet's a grave," she whispered, her voice barely above a murmur. Ray, ever the voice of reason, kept the mission focused. "Let's gather what we can and get back to the ship. There's nothing alive here, but this warning, it could be crucial." The discovery of the ancient warning was a sobering moment for the crew. The markings, once deciphered by Swift, spoke of an entity that consumed not just the physical matter of planets, but the very essence of life itself. "It's like a cosmic plague, moving from world to world," Swift explained, his usual enthusiasm dampened by the gravity of their discovery. Frost listened intently, his mind racing with the implications of their find. "This entity, if it's heading towards Earth..." He paused, the thought too horrific to complete. The return to the Quantum was somber, the crew weighed down by the knowledge of the impending doom. The fragments of the ancient civilization, once vibrant and alive, now served as a dire warning to the crew, and potentially, to all of humanity. "Let's get this information back to Earth," Frost decided, his resolve hardened by the discovery. "We need to warn them about what's coming." In the chilling void that enveloped the Quantum after their harrowing discovery on the planet shard, tension mounted among the crew. The ship, once a haven of safety and scientific pursuit, now felt like a fragile bubble adrift in an ocean of darkness. Captain Caden Frost, his features set in a grim line, convened an emergency meeting with his senior officers to discuss their next move. Whatever this entity is, it's unlike anything we've encountered before, Frost began, his voice steady but laced with an undercurrent of urgency. The ancient warning was clear. This thing is headed towards Earth. Sienna Ray, standing by his side, added, "We need to understand what we're dealing with. Blind panic won't help us or Earth." Leo Swift, his eyes haunted by the ruins they had explored, was poring over the data they had collected. The warning spoke of consumption, not just of matter, but of life itself. If this entity has the power to strip a planet bare— His voice trailed off, the implication too horrific to articulate fully. Tactical Officer Eden Wraith, ever the pragmatist, interjected, "So, how do we fight it? Our weaponry is designed for space pirates, not cosmic plagues." It was then that Chief Engineer Tycho Brahe, who had been quietly analyzing the ship's systems, spoke up. "Maybe we don't fight it head-on. If this thing can consume planets, our firepower is likely useless. But if we can understand how it consumes—" Brahe's suggestion hung in the air, a flicker of hope in the overwhelming darkness. Navigator Jade Harlow, who had been silently following the conversation, finally spoke. "What about the experimental drive? The one designed for deep space jumps? Could we use it to, outrun this thing?" Frost considered her words carefully. "It's untested. The risks—" Milo Kane, who had been monitoring the ship's communication systems for any sign of the entity, suddenly cut in. "Captain, you need to see this." The crew gathered around Kane's station, where the screen displayed a swirling mass of darkness, tendrils of shadow stretching out as if seeking something. "It's the entity," Swift whispered, a mix of fear and fascination in his voice. The quantum, caught in the entity's grasp, shuddered as if in the grip of a giant. The lights flickered, a tangible sign of the entity's power. "All hands, brace for impact." Frost's command echoed through the ship, a call to action in the face of the unknown. As the entity began to infiltrate the ship, its presence warping the very air they breathed, Frost rallied his crew. "We've faced the unknown before. We'll face it again. Our mission now is not just exploration but survival, for ourselves and for Earth." As the quantum struggled against the cosmic entity's suffocating grasp, a palpable sense of dread permeated the ship. The crew, once unified by their mission of exploration, now found themselves facing an adversary that defied all logic and science. Captain Caden Frost, his features etched with resolve, addressed his crew, his voice a beacon of strength in the encroaching darkness. "This entity, this force, it's unlike anything we've ever encountered, but we are not going to let it consume us without a fight. We are going to do whatever it takes to protect ourselves and Earth." The entity's influence began to manifest within the ship, an insidious presence that twisted the corridors and bulkheads into grotesque shapes. The very metal seemed to pulse with a malevolent life. First Officer Sienna Ray, maintaining her composure in the face of the unknown, coordinated the crew's efforts to fortify their defenses. "We need to secure every section. Whatever this thing is, we can't let it take hold," she commanded, her voice cutting through the growing fear. Leo Swift, his curiosity now overshadowed by a pressing need for survival, worked feverishly to understand the entity's nature. "It's like it's rewriting the laws of physics around us," he observed, his instruments unable to make sense of the phenomenon. "But there must be a pattern, a weakness." As the entity's influence grew, members of the crew began to experience terrifying hallucinations, their fears manifesting as vivid, horrifying visions. Tactical Officer Eden Wraith, trained to face tangible enemies, found herself fighting shadows. "Weapons are useless against this," she admitted, frustration and fear mingling in her voice. "Our minds are the battlefield now." Tycho Brahe and his engineering team battled to keep the ship's systems operational. the entity's corrupting influence making even the simplest task a Herculean effort. "I've never seen anything like this," Bran muttered, as he rewired a console that flickered between states of repair and decay. "But I'll be damned if I let this ship fall apart." Jade Harlow, attempting to chart a course away from the entity, found the stars themselves obscured by the darkness. "It's like we're trapped in a bubble of nothingness," she said, the strain evident in her voice. "But there has to be a way out." Milo Kane, faced with the impossibility of reaching Earth, tried desperately to send a warning, any warning, to the outside world. "If anyone can hear us," he broadcast into the void, "stay away from this sector. Stay away from the dark." Amidst the chaos, moments of humanity shone through. The crew, facing the unimaginable, found solace in their shared resolve. "We are the Quantum's crew," Frost declared, rallying his team. "We've faced the unknown at every turn and we'll face this together. We're not just fighting for our survival, we're fighting for all of humanity." The struggle against the entity had taken its toll on the Quantum and its crew. The once pristine corridors now bore the marks of their unseen assailant, with surfaces undulating and twisting in nightmarish ways. Captain Caden Frost, his resolve as unyielding as ever, convened a strategy meeting with his senior officers, the gravity of their situation reflected in the weary faces around him. "We're not going to last much longer like this," Frost began, his voice low but firm. "This entity, it's not just attacking the ship. It's attacking us, our minds. We need a new approach." Sienna Ray, her usual calm demeanor now edged with urgency, nodded in agreement. "We need to think outside the box. Traditional tactics aren't going to work against something that defies physics as we understand it." Leo Swift, his face pale but his eyes alight with a feverish intensity, chimed in. "I've been analyzing the patterns of the entity's movements. It's chaotic, but there's a rhythm to it. Almost like it's alive in a way we can't comprehend. Maybe we can disrupt it, throw it off balance." Eden Wraith, her hands clenched in frustration, added, "If we had something to fight, I could fight it. But how do you battle a shadow that twists your own ship into a weapon against you?" Tycho Bran, covered in grime from his efforts to keep the Quantum functional, offered a glimmer of hope. "If this thing is using the ship's systems against us, maybe we can do the same. Rig the ship to channel energy in a way it doesn't expect. It's risky, but—" Jade Harlow, usually reserved, spoke up with a note of determination. "And I can help. If we're going to do this, I can plot a course that takes us into denser regions of space. More matter, more energy. It might give us the edge we need." Milo Kane, though disheartened by his inability to contact Earth, found purpose in their new plan. "Let me broadcast our findings. If we don't make it, someone else might pick up the signal. It's a long shot, but it's worth it." The crew, united by a shared determination to fight back against the darkness that sought to consume them, set about their tasks with renewed vigor. Frost, watching his crew spring into action, felt a surge of pride. "This is what we do," he said, more to himself than anyone else. "We face the unknown, and we push back." As the Quantum maneuvered into the denser regions of space, the entity's assaults became more frenzied, more desperate. The ship groaned and shuddered under the strain, but Bran and his engineering team worked tirelessly, rerouting power and reinforcing structural integrity. Wraith, standing beside Frost as they monitored the entity's reactions, muttered, "I've never wanted to punch something so badly in my life." Frost, a ghost of a smile on his lips, responded, "Let's hope this plan works, and you might just get your chance." As the Quantum's crew readied their counter-offensive against the encroaching entity, the atmosphere aboard the ship was one of grim determination. The plan, as daring as it was, required precision and a willingness to face the unknown with courage that bordered on recklessness. Captain Caden Frost, standing before his crew, laid out the final details of their strategy with a clarity that left no room for doubt. "This may well be the most crucial moment of our mission," Frost declared, his gaze sweeping over the faces of his crew. "What we're about to do has never been attempted before. But I have faith in each and every one of you. Tycho Bran, his tools at the ready, nodded. The modifications to the ship are complete. She's ready to channel the energy burst. It's all or nothing now. Leo Swift, poring over his data one last time, added, "The calculations are as precise as we can make them. The timing has to be perfect." Sienna Ray, ever the voice of reason, turned to Frost. "We're with you, Captain. Let's show this entity that humanity doesn't back down from a fight." As the ship maneuvered into position, Navigator Jade Harlow expertly guided them through the dense regions of space, her hands steady despite the stakes. "Approaching the target coordinates," she announced, her voice steady. Eden Wraith, standing at the ready, couldn't help but quip, "Never thought I'd miss the days of just worrying about asteroid fields." Frost, allowing a brief smile, responded, "I'll take asteroid fields over cosmic horrors any day. But today, this is our battlefield." The moment of truth arrived. The Quantum, powered by the modifications and the sheer will of its crew, unleashed a concentrated burst of energy towards the entity. The ship trembled under the strain, the very air vibrating with the force of their defiance. Milo Kane, tasked with monitoring the effects of their counterattack, reported, "Energy burst is away. Impact in 3, 2, 1. Silence fell upon the crew as they awaited the result. The ship's sensors for a moment went dark, leaving them in suspense. Then slowly, the readings returned, showing the entity recoiling, its form disrupted by the unexpected assault. "We did it," Swift whispered, disbelief mingling with relief. "It's retreating." Frost, his relief palpable, turned to his crew. "Outstanding work, everyone, but stay alert. It's wounded, not defeated." As the crew took a moment to process their success, the cost of their daring maneuver became apparent. The Quantum had sustained significant damage, and Bran, ever the pragmatic engineer, was quick to assess the situation. "We've bought ourselves some time, but the ship's going to need repairs, and we're not out of this yet." Ray, her gaze meeting Frost's, nodded. "We'll need to make the most of this reprieve. Let's get to work and prepare for what comes next." The aftermath of the Quantum's daring assault on the cosmic entity was a ship battered but not broken, a crew exhausted but unbowed. Captain Caden Frost, his eyes surveying the damage reports, found a quiet moment amidst the chaos to appreciate the resilience of his team. "We've bought ourselves some time, but our fight is far from over. Let's use this opportunity to regroup and repair." Tycho Bran, his uniform stained with the evidence of hard labor, was already deep in the bowels of the ship, orchestrating the repairs with a fervor that belied his exhaustion. "All right, team, let's patch her up. The Quantum's been through a lot, but she's got plenty of fight left in her," he declared, his voice echoing through the corridors. Sienna Ray, coordinating the repair efforts, approached Bran with an update. "We're stretched thin on resources, Tycho, but we'll make do. We always do." Bran, pausing to wipe sweat from his brow, replied, "We've handled worse. Just need a bit of ingenuity and a lot of duct tape." Leo Swift, meanwhile, was back at his station, his mind racing with theories about the entity. "There's so much we don't understand about it. The data we've collected could change how we view the universe," he mused, almost to himself. Jade Harlow, plotting a course that would keep them ahead of the entity's pursuit, chimed in. "Let's focus on keeping us out of its reach first. We can rewrite the science books later." Eden Wraith, her usual stoicism giving way to a rare smile, acknowledged the point. "I'll take a boring journey back to Earth over another round with that thing any day." Milo Kane, who had been tirelessly attempting to re-establish contact with Earth, finally broke through the silence. "I've got something. A weak signal, but it's definitely from Earth Command," he announced, a note of hope in his voice. The crew gathered around, listening intently as the static-filled message from Earth confirmed their worst fears. The entity was indeed moving towards their home. Frost's expression hardened as the reality of their situation sank in. "We've managed to escape, but now we have a bigger problem. Earth is in danger." The revelation brought a sobering clarity to the crew. "What we've done here, it's not just for us. It's for everyone back home, Ray said, her voice steady. Frost nodded, the weight of command heavy on his shoulders. We'll do whatever it takes to protect Earth. We beat this thing once. We'll do it again. But this time we're fighting for billions of lives. As the Quantum raced against time, with the very fate of Earth hanging in the balance, Captain Caden Frost and his crew faced the daunting task of devising a plan to combat an entity that defied all known laws of physics. The weight of their mission pressed heavily upon them, each member acutely aware of the stakes. In the ship's dimly lit briefing room, Frost outlined their situation with grim resolve. We've one shot at this. Our previous encounter showed us it's possible to affect the entity, to push it back. We must find a way to amplify that effect, to protect Earth. Sienna Ray, her face a mask of determination, added, We need a plan that utilizes everything we've learned, every piece of data we've gathered. It's not just about brute force, it's about understanding our enemy. Leo Swift, surrounded by screens displaying data on the entity, spoke up, his voice tinged with a rare optimism. The energy burst worked because it was unexpected, chaotic. If we can replicate that on a larger scale, directly in its path. Tycho Brand, poring over schematics and calculations, interjected, It's going to require more power than we've ever generated. We'll need to modify the ship's core, push it beyond its limits. Jade Harlow, her hands moving over her console with practiced ease, suggested, If we can get the timing right, use the gravitational pull of a nearby star system to slingshot us, we can give you the speed and trajectory needed. Eden Wraith, always one to face danger head-on, nodded. And I'll make sure our defenses hold while we make our run. We might only get one shot at this. Milo Kane, the strain evident in his voice, added, And I'll keep trying to warn Earth. Give them a heads up. They need to be prepared for what's coming. The camaraderie and shared resolve among the crew were palpable, a beacon of hope in the overwhelming darkness. We've faced the unknown together, and we'll face this together, Frost said, looking at each of his officers. For Earth. As preparations for their daring plan went underway, the mood aboard the Quantum was one of focused intensity. Bran and his engineering team worked tirelessly, retrofitting the ship's core with improvised modifications. Swift coordinated with Harlow, calculating the precise moment for their slingshot maneuver around the star system. In a rare moment of quiet, Wraith turned to Frost, her expression serious. I never signed up for saving the world. Just wanted to explore the stars. Frost, with a half-smile, replied, Exploring the stars has a way of bringing you face to face with the unexpected. But if anyone can pull this off, it's us. As the Quantum edged closer to their critical moment, the entity loomed larger, a shadow cast across the stars. The crew, each member steeling themselves for the task ahead, stood ready to enact their plan. The final confrontation loomed ahead as the Quantum prepared to execute its audacious plan. With Earth's fate hanging in the balance, the tension among the crew was palpable, each member acutely aware that the success of their mission hinged on precision, luck, and the unbreakable will to fight against the encroaching darkness. In the ship's cockpit, Captain Caden Frost oversaw the final preparations, his gaze fixed on the star system that would serve as their slingshot. This is it, he announced, his voice steady. All systems are go. It's now or never. Sienna Ray, reviewing the trajectory calculations one last time, confirmed, Course is set, Captain. We're ready to make the jump. Leo Swift, his eyes locked on the energy readings, could barely contain his anxiety. The core's charged. Let's hope our theory holds. Tycho Brand, surrounded by monitors and gauges displaying the ship's strained systems, muttered, She's holding together. For now. Let's give this cosmic horror a run for its money. Navigator Jade Harlow, her hands steady at the controls, initiated the countdown. Slingshot maneuver in 3, 2, 1. As the Quantum hurtled towards the star, using its gravitational pull to catapult itself at unimaginable speed, Tactical Officer Eden Wraith prepared the ship's defenses. Brace for impact, she cautioned, her voice a calm in the storm. Milo Kane, broadcasting their final message and data to Earth, added, "Whatever happens, they'll know we did everything we could." The maneuver was more successful than they had dared hope, propelling the quantum directly into the entity's path. The ship, glowing with accumulated energy, released the burst directly at the heart of the cosmic horror. The moment of impact was blinding, a brilliant flash that seemed to pause time itself. Then, silence. Slowly, the crew regained their senses, their eyes searching the screens for any sign of the entity. What they saw was beyond their wildest hopes. The entity, recoiling, its form dispersing like smoke in the wind. "We did it," Swift breathed, disbelief mingling with relief. It's gone." Frost, allowing himself a moment of triumph, turned to his crew. "You all performed brilliantly. Earth is safe thanks to you." But their celebration was cut short by a distressing realization from Kane. "Captain, I'm picking up transmissions from Earth. The entity, before we struck, it sent a part of itself towards Earth. It's too late." The news hit them like a physical blow, the weight of their sacrifice settling in with crushing finality. Frost, his face a mask of grief and resolve, addressed his crew. "Then our mission isn't over. We fight on for Earth for those we've lost. This entity made a mistake in challenging us. We'll find a way to beat it completely this time." The quantum, battered but unbroken, set a course back to Earth. The crew stood together, united in their loss but resolute in their determination to continue the fight. In the silence of space, the quantum sailed on, a beacon of hope and defiance, its crew ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, for they were explorers, warriors, and guardians of the light in the unending darkness.